Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and fight fans around the world. It's your boy P. Welsh here for another UFC picks, previews, and predictions. We got UFC 305, Plessis versus Adesanya from Perth, Australia. Very exciting card coming off a 7-3 week last week. Looking to improve on here, and what a card to start off, man. A lot of feature matchups, a lot of local talent on display here. And the starting off first in the flyweight division, we got Stuart Nickel making his UFC debut against Jesus Aguilar, 10-2 coming off a win. Nickel is an undefeated prospect, 8-0, and a KO submission machine, only once to the decision. But again, taking a step up into the promotion against Jesus Aguilar, who I think is a really tough matchup to come in here and make your UFC debut against. I feel like the recency bias is not going to be on Aguilar's side here because he didn't look the best in his last win. But, his only loss is to Tatsu Taira. I think he's going to be a whale of a matchup here for Nickel here. I'm initially leaning towards Aguilar as we get over here, 28 years old, 5'4", just mega experience there. Not too much, very similar metrics, 5'5", similar age as well for Nickel here. Lots of strikes. A phenomenal striker is definitely where Nickel's going to have the edge here. He's also got some ground game, but that was earlier in his career. But after that, man, it's going to be hard for me to pick against Aguilar. I feel like sometimes this first matchup is always a little bit interesting in terms of the books and the card and what we're coming to expect here. And I'm just a fan of that octagon experience, man. I really don't want to come in here picking Nickel heavy favorite against somebody that's got KO wins, got submission wins, and he's got decision wins all in the UFC. It's going to be really hard for me to pick against this. I want to see what Nickel has. Again, never seeing him in person doesn't really help right now. But after that being said, I think Aguilar has a chance to really dominate the ground here, wrestle him. And if he can handle himself on the exchanges on the feet, I think he's got a great chance. Saying Aguilar is cutting down to flyweight here. Let's see how that weight cut is, as we move forward. Always got to take into consideration when making your picks and predictions. But, I do this, before the weigh-ins, just to get you guys the time to watch the videos. And I'm not going to go against my gut here. I wanted to pick Nickel if he was an underdog, but being a big favorite that he is, I just can't see me getting behind the train. The hometown hero, I want to, it would be a great story to start off the card like that, seeing something spectacular, some flying KO. I just really don't think Aguilar is going to be able to take, I don't think he really gives that opportunity. I think he's very, very solid on his feet, on the ground, especially if he gets into a wrestling match here. Like I said, Nickel's really going to have to outstrike him. He's really going to have to show his class on the feet. And I'm just not sure if it's going to be there right away. If he even starts a little late. I just got Aguilar here. I just feel like there's a lot of ways that this could go well for Aguilar and not well for Nickel. Especially if you're looking at the odds here, too. It's just something that they always kind of almost sends me the opposite way sometimes. But the analysis is saying Aguilar here. Want to see something exciting from Nickel. We got the home crowd. Going to be pumped up for him. Going to get the juices flowing early. And by God, if he does get finished, Aguilar, and Nickel takes home the dub, it's going to be the start of a great night, I feel. Great night. We're going to move on there and going into the welterweight division. We're going to have Song Kanan versus Ricky Glenn, 20-8 versus 22, 8-2. Both fellas coming off a loss, standing at 6 foot even. And, I mean, all things considered, Ricky's moving up from lightweight, typically fighting up to welterweight. And I just, sometimes it could be good for the fighters, and sometimes it could be bad if he's not used to going against somebody that's as big as him and somebody that's as competitive. I'm leaning Song Kanan, and I just think he's going to get the job done. I'm just not a big Ricky Glenn believer, and I know Song is not a flawless fighter by any stretches of the imagination, but he has had a couple decent performances. Lost to some better fighters, Gary, Griffin, Morono. But that being said, those were all, well, I can't say that. Take that back. But, I don't think Ricky Glenn has that caliber of talent to really to really force Song into something different. And I could come out here and get starched wrong by Ricky Glenn, come out here, hit us with some punches, but I think that only win of his in a long time has come on a flurry of punches like that. Catch him early, hit him fast, and I don't think Song is going to be like that. I think he's going to be more measured. He's going to be more technical, fighting on his side of the world. Like, it's not his hometown, but he's going to have massive support there. Give me Song over Ricky here in the second matchup. And then we'll move on into, I don't even know what to say about this one. Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. 7-1 versus 13-4. I mean, Tom Nolan, 6'3", 4-inch advantage, and a monster favorite on the betting cards over minus 1,200 against Alex Reyes here. So I'm expecting to see a finish from Nolan. When the odds are this crazy, I'm expecting a KO from here. Reyes was KO'd in his last fight by Charlie Campbell, and then before that, his last UFC fight is against Mike Perry. That's a long freaking time ago. I understand why the odds are the way they are. I don't know what the juice is going to be on Nolan KO, but I think that's got to be the kind of the lean here. I can't go too much into it. Like, when you get to minus 1,200, it's a little different. We're looking at the next fight, and it's big odds again, but something I, can see happening is I really just don't see a win condition for Alex here. The experience isn't there. He's like, Nolan's chance to lose is to get caught, right? If he gets caught with a cross, but is Reyes the guy to do that? I don't think so. I just think keep it moving here. Keep Tom Nolan. If a spectacular upset happens, and that's one for the books, there is an upset. I think it may occur in the next fight. So we're going to move on here and Tom Nolan all day. Going Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. Jenkins 12-3 coming off a loss to Cheppy Machine Gun Mariscal. Broken arm, I believe. Herbert Burns 11-5 coming off a bunch of losses, a bunch of beat-ups, injury in there. And looking at these odds here, I'm actually gonna buck the trend. I don't know if I like Jack Jenkins. I really don't know. I don't know what to like about him. I haven't really watched him perform fluently. Jamal Emmers wins. What is he gonna come in here? Coming off a loss, I think Herbert's got a great chance to come in here and pull a major upset. He's a grappling specialist with submission game with his brother Gilbert. I think they're going to be ready. He's got a little bit of a reach, height advantage. If he can't manage that distance, if he can't get him on the ground and do something, I mean, that's how we literally saw Jenkins lose his last fight. He got judo throwed, tried to brace himself, and ended up busting up his arm. I had him losing in that fight to Cheppy. Cheppy's my guy, and I'm actually going to go pick a big upset here. I got Burns here. Herbert Burns. My also thinking is I'm not going to pick Jenkins, and God forbid Burns lose. That would be one that I would never want on my record. So, Herbert, I know I trusted you last time. I'm going to trust you one more time here. I'm going to believe in the submission. I'm going to believe in you getting the takedown and just getting the better of Jack Jenkins here. Exhaustion from damage. He got hurt against Billaglio. Julian Arce comes back, knocks him out. Julian's a badass. Got some good wins on his resume too. I got Herbert Burns here on him. Big upset, and I'm calling it specifically with submission. If he doesn't get the submission, I definitely think he can get the decision win just on controlling the fight, grappling in the exchanges, and as long as he doesn't get caught late, knocked out in the third round, I think he's got a chance to really finish. Get himself a nice victory for him and the family, and pull a major upset for his career. He's getting up there in age. He's 36. I'm going to take a quick look at Jenkins. It's not changing my mind against Jenkins. 31. That injury, I don't, coming off an arm injury, I don't like it. It could be very compromised. If you get taken down again and it gets tweaked, I got Herbert here. Let's pull a big upset with the submission. Burns! All right, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Casey O'Neill, 9-2 against Luana Santos, 8-1, coming off a loss. Similar metrics, a little bit of a reach advantage for Casey O'Neill here. And Luana Santos, man, she's a lean, mean fighting machine. She's got 3 fight night experiences. This is the first time on a major card. All 3 wins. I think she's got a good chance to finish O'Neill here, too. A little bit of some submissions on her resume, not too much of a knockout. And Casey O'Neill has been finished on the ground before. by Lipsky via armbar. It was not a pretty armbar either. It was so kind of a somewhat quick turnaround. She didn't take a lot of damage, but there's no way I'm actually going to go pick Casey O'Neill here. She's really going to have to stand and strike to get the better of Luana Santos. And I think at some point she'll fatigue. And if the takedowns become an issue, we know that's where Luana wants to fight. That's where we know she's going to get it. And she can even get the ground and pound. I don't want to question a fighter's toughness ever, but that's something I always think about with Casey O'Neill. Against somebody that's hungry, a 24-year-old, I really think one thing that you could go for O'Neill is the years on, not even that many years. She's 2 years older. So can't even say like she has like a great amount of training experience. Excuse me. I got Santos here. I think she's a really bright prospect, really somebody that can bring some excitement to the division in the women's flyweight and give us a reason to remember her name. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet as well. Casey O'Neill, I think, will have to stand early. I think she might start a little slow. I think as Santos tires, O'Neill can definitely stand up and get her down. But if Santos gets there early and gets there fast, and it could be over in the first round via submission. I'm taking Santos here. I want to see O'Neill prove it. I feel like this card specifically has a lot of recency bias on the lines from the books. Also, not necessarily how I'm feeling particularly, but you can tell the trends that are being seen even over the last 1 to 2 fights. The book is out quickly on some of these fighters, and it's going to be interesting to see them buck the book in very short time, especially for people like O'Neill, people like Burns and Jenkins. There's a lot of prove-it fights on this card, and it should be very exciting to see some of these matchups. But I got Santos here. Put another win on the resume. We're hoping so. All right, next we're moving on to the men's featherweight division. Josh Culibao, 11-3-1 versus Ricardo Ramos, 16-6. Both fellas coming off a loss here. And I'll say it like this. I think I've picked Ramos. I think I've liked Ramos sometimes, and I think he's underperformed quite a bit. Getting finished in grappling by Jourdain and Arosa. I can remember being a favorite of him in both those fights. Me personally favored him. I liked him in those fights, and he got starched. And is that going to come into my recency bias here? Yes, I think so. Josh Culibao, I picked against him last time as well, and I think we got a little lucky. I think it was a split decision loss against Danny Silva. Thought it could have went either way. When you get those split decisions, not take very much pride in the wins. Try and learn from the losses. I think he's got a lot of good experience for his young career. I think Culibao is going to actually put on a nice performance and a nice show. I think he gets a nice unanimous 29-28 decision. Rallies. Either starts strong or has to rally in the third round, but I think he gets off to a pretty decent start in that first round. Puts Ramos on the back foot, and he has a lot of octagon time in there against some really good fighters. Danny Silva, Leroy Murphy, Jalen Turner. So that's no scratch. It's nothing to scratch up about. But, Ricardo Ramos getting finished in the first round via submission, it also gives my guy Culibao something to aim at. Even if he doesn't successfully submit him, taking him down, getting an advantage, position over submission, that's where Culibao wants to be. He really don't want to be trying to work submissions. He wants to ground and pound. He wants to knock you out. And Ramos really doesn't have much of a ground game. I mean, getting caught in a guillotine choke, that's literally his L's 2 straight times. So, yeah, let's go Culibao. He's bound to get back. I mean, I thought it should have been a little bit stretchier of odds for Culibao here, but I'm taking him, man. I got him. Let's get him back on the board here. One of these guys are coming in hot. I mean, Ramos is just all over the place. KO wins, KO losses, sub wins, sub losses, decision wins, decision losses. A lot of experience for Ramos. 12 fights in the UFC, man. It's really nothing to bat your eyes about. But Culibao's pretty well in there. And I feel like he's fighting for his contract right now, Culibao. He needs to put on a great performance. They don't mind sending off these rookie prospects. Look at Quinlan recently. Same first name, I believe. So don't be the same first name there, Josh. fully bow, get the job done here. Go to the judges' scorecards. Nothing exciting, but get that win, son. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to the heavyweight division. Junior Tafa 5-2 versus Walter Walker, Johnny's brother, 11-1, 3-inch height advantage and a big reach advantage for Walker. And he had a disappointing debut, not gonna lie. Tafa coming out here, filling in for his brother on a fight card, literally coming in the week of. Terrible decision. Should have just canceled the fight. He got destroyed by Marcos de Lima, the guy that Derek Lewis kneed, and he lost his all those teeth, or knocked his teeth loose. Man, dude, that guy got beat up, and he got beat up bad, dude. 6 months to recover. I'm not trusting Tafa here as far as I can throw him, which is 0. I don't trust Tafa. That being said, Walter Walker, I thought he had a pretty decent debut. He definitely lacked on the striking department, but man, he took Brisky down over and over again. He just really couldn't do much to keep him down and do damage while he was down. I think we're going to see I just think he has the gas tank. He's not going to be afraid to get dirty. Does Tafa going to make it to the 3rd round? I don't think so. Is he going to be able to catch Walter Walker? I just want to call him Johnny's brother, honestly. But at the end of the day, I'm picking Walker here. There's no way I'm not going to take a heavyweight grappler. I feel like recently we've seen some incredible heavyweight grappling performances, as in even Spivak. Some of these guys that are heavy or training heavy in there. I got Walker to come back in there. I don't think he gets a sub. I think he can end up getting in the ground and pound finish. Some dirty elbows in there, doing a lot of damage. I think Tafa's not the cleanest fighter. He's not going to be dodging, ducking, dipping. And if you can't get away from a guy that's going to wrestle you, man, I think it's going to be a long day for Tafa. I hate to be like that, in his home country. And I feel like Walker's got to come out for absolute blood in there, man. He's going to be a man on fire. And if you're going to pick Tafa and root for Tafa, just be prepared for him to get taken down and for him to get ragged on and laid on for quite a bit. Because if Walker can't, outstrike him, because that's where Tafa's got to win this fight. He's got to strike him on the feet. So, knees, elbows, uppercuts, something like that. But I expect a great increase in Walter's performance. I really do. I don't think this one's very close. He's plus money. There's some of these fights that could go either way, definitely, but in just what I've seen in stylistic matchups, he's 3 inches taller, got a solid 20 pounds, and he's solid. Solid, man. Let's go Walker here. Come on, baby. Moving on to the main card, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, oh boy, we got some explosions that are going to happen here. The Leech Li Jingliang, 19-8 coming off a loss versus Carlos Prates, 19-6. Man, I love the Leech so much. I'm such a Leech fan, but I can't pick him this time. I think Prates is going to get the win here. He's a certified absolute striker, man. Kickboxer, boxing extraordinaire. Does some absolute massive damage on the feet with the legs. I think he's very powerful. My guy's smoking heaters. Prates is. I love the Leech. Everybody's going to want the Leech to win. We're going to be all rooting for him, no doubt. If he does win, I'll be happy to take this loss. I'm picking my guy Prates here, dude. He's just been so clean, so much into his UFC career. I can't pick against him when he's been bringing that much power. 3 straight knockout finishes in an era where we're not knocking a lot of people out in the last year or so. Been a lot of decision wins, a lot of point fighting. I get it, it's mixed martial arts. I think Leech is really going to have to bring the ground game. And if you're not going to bring the ground game against D-Rod, of course he got choked out by Chimaev. Slaklavov win, Ponzinibbio wins. They're just really not enough there for me. I want to see it. I feel bad for him. He's a little bit older, and I think he takes a tough loss here. Could go to the judges scorecard. Split decision, very well likely on this card. But I got Carlos Prates here. I just think he's just very clean with it. We're going to see how world-class of a striker is. And what I've really noticed recently is the welterweight division. they're not as, I won't say, I'm not going to try and bash them, say they're not heavy hitters, but man, some of the guys are absolutely so clean, technical, and fast. They really bring the speed to power ratio, and Prates is that guy, man. Absolutely, no doubt about it. In my fandom and my pick'em, I'm picking Prates here. Moving on. Oof. Ty Bam Bam Tuivasa, 15-7 versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik, 14-5, coming off a win. Rozenstruik, big win over Gaziv, man. Gaziv looked really good against Dontrell Mays last time, and Bam Bam Tuivasa, man. What? That's another one. Ty Burra starched him with a rear naked choke. 4 straight losses. Let's make it 5. Rozenstruik's not the guy you get it done against. He's just solid. He's got good gas tank. Like, he's not... I just can't see Tuivasa making it out of the second round here. I just worry about guys taking a lot of damage. Volkov, Pavlovich, Cyril Gane. Like, you know, we're all fans of him, but I can never pick Bam Bam again. He's going to have to prove it to me. You're going to beat Rozenstruik here on home soil? 12 KO wins? Losses to savages. Ngannou, Gane, Blades, Volkov, and Almeida. Got tapped out by Almeida, but I think he gets that fight back again. He could do a little bit better against Almeida. Tuivasa's got one win condition, man. It's KO. He can get subbed, too, man. If Rozenstruik gets bored, he's just like, I'm going to take him down. I don't feel like throwing hands. He could probably do that, too. I was checking out the age here. 36 for Rozenstruik and 31 for Tuivasa. This could be make or break for Tuivasa, man. Cream's rising to the top in the heavyweight division. You know what I mean? Like, who's he going to fight? Walter Walger after this? Junior Tafa? Like, they're not going to... They don't really want to fight his own kind like that. But is that the matchups that he can win? Is probably somebody more like Tafa instead of Rozenstruik or Walker. Give me Rozenstruik here. I don't know how it happens. It could be decision. I just can't see Tuivasa making it to 15 minutes in the ring. No offense. I mean, I love the guy, but he's not the guy he used to be. Prove me wrong. All right, ladies and gentlemen. What a fight here. What a fight here. Mateus Gamer Gamrot, 24-2 versus Dan the Hangman Hooker, 23-12. Man, my body, mind, body, and soul really wants to pick Dan Hooker here. His chance is via striking. He's going to have to catch Gamrot, but there is no chance I'm ever picking against Gamrot with that gas tank he's got. The tenacity, the freaking just the sheer force of will to just absolutely dominate his opponents. Some absolute beautiful... I mean, the fact that Beneil Dariush beat him... Gotta go back and watch that fight, man. Make sure that was real. I know Benny B was on a run there, but I'm not picking against Gamrot, dude. I'm not. And he lost to Guram Kutsaladze, who had a great performance against our guy Jordan the other week, who we picked against. This guy, Gamrot, if he's going to lose, it's going to be to a guy like Hooker. But I think at this point in his career, that's over. I think it's over, man. I think this is over for... I don't know if he gets a win. You know, you really don't see... You know, he's got, some finishes on his record. Definitely likes the decision, but, I mean, he's a wrestler at heart. And I think the wrestlers are always going to hold advantage in these kind of fights. And I think Mateus Gamer Gamrot improves the record. And I think he calls out for an interim title fight against Sarukian. I think there's a lot of possibilities in this division, man. And there are some absolute killers that nobody wants to fight. I give Dan Hooker hella props for taking this fight. It's near his home soil. I understand why he wants it. I understand his win conditions, scary fights, bring the best out of you. I think he's trying to, harness a little inner diamond. You got to really challenge yourself, but ain't no way I'm picking him. I want my record to improve by 1, and that is going to be picking Gamrot here. Keeping it simple. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, this one I've been going back and forth. Kai Kara France, 24-11, coming off a robbery loss to Amir Albazi, versus Steve Urseg, 12-2, coming off the absolutely gladiator performance against Pantoja in that title fight not too many months ago. And man, oh man, I like the height advantage for Usyk. I like, he really doesn't have the reach advantage, but I think it's going to be very difficult for Kai Kara-France to impose his will. I was initially leaning KKF just because home soil, got the homies. I think he can have a great performance. If you look at him, he only loses to some absolute studs. Is Usyk one of those studs? He may be, man. He may be. He's got big power to absolute. He could be the champ, man. If he gets a little bit more composure in the 5th round, maybe the next time he's there, he gets the job done. I don't count that robbery against Albazi, man. That was a straight up robbery. He's only losses to Moreno, and Roval. Is Kai Kara-France recently, right? Those are really good fighters, man. Those are really good fighters. And guess what? Usyk's a really good fighter as well. I think the advantage really comes into, and this is a shame that it's not a 5-round fight. Why don't they make all co-main events 5-round fights? I have no idea. I have no idea why they don't make all co-main events, especially when you have high-level ranked opponents. I got Usyk in here. I was leaning KKF before it. I think something about Usyk just screams class, man. I think he's just very well balanced, and I think that little bit of an advantage is going to make a big difference in the fight. And I think it comes down to the height. Usyk, he's great at scrambling, great at grappling. Kai Kara-France is going to make it dirty. This one might be such an exciting fight, man. This one's probably going 15 minutes, back and forth slobber knocker. One of these guys gets a finish, I'd be hella impressed. If anything, maybe Usyk. But boy, oh boy. I'm picking Usyk here. I got to. I want Kai Kara-France reverse psychology for my homie's card collection on him. Hopefully it bumps up the value of it if KKF gets the upset. But I'm not picking against Usyk here. I think I was very impressed with his performance against Pantoja. And I really believe he was almost a better fighter that night. He almost was the champ, and man, would that make things look different in this whole division. So I think he comes back hungry, comes back strong. 3 rounds, could be very close fight. This one's gonna be like, man, I want 2 more rounds, and I think Kai Kara-France might want 2 more rounds too at the end of it. I think Usyk could tire out where France comes in hot. And really wish he can get Usyk because he feels him tiring and weakened. Maybe takes him down in the 3rd round and he's like, man, we really kind of turned it end of the 2nd into the 3rd. And Usyk just did enough because I think he's got incredible power. He's got incredible technique. And I think he can scramble with France. I just remember that Roval and France. And as soon as France get tired, I think it could be one of those things where Usyk could finish him, man. He's a big boy. He's going to get in some good positions. He's going to get in good, advantageous positions. And I want to see Kai Kara-France win. This is one I don't mind taking an L on, but if I got to go on the official record, let's take Usyk. This is definitely one of those recency bias too, right? Like we're talking some recency bias on this card. That's definitely one of the fights. Rosenstrike, Tai Tuivasa, Leach, and Parade. So many on this fight here. So, I think it's going to be one whale of a card for us. And look at the main event. Up to a pick'em on DK. Minus 110 each. Dricus D Plessis, 21-2 coming off the win against Sean Strickland versus Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya. 24-3 coming off a loss to Strickland. And man, this one should be a hell of a matchup, man. I think these guys actually have animosity towards one another. I actually think there's no good feelings between these boys. And I think right now that's actually going to benefit Adesanya. I think that always comes in. First off, the amount of championship experience that Israel Adesanya has is arguably undeniable. It makes him one of the best middleweights of all time. It's actually insane how good he is, how many times he defended it, and how well he defended it so many times. I think he comes out as a man possessed. There is no way I'm picking DDP. He's a big fighter, but I think Adesanya is going to be a different fighter today too, right? I am no way picking in basically a pick a matchup. I'm not picking D Plessis. I picked D Plessis a bunch of times. I feel like he's very fortunate to be where he is. Now, is he a big ass man that messes some people up? Absolutely. Does he have some incredible wins? Is he on a great run? Absolutely. But I tell you what, man, it could be very well he doesn't have the belt. If that fight is not in Canada, if that fight's somewhere else, it very may well go to Strickland. I hate bringing the judges in there. You know, he did beat up Whitaker, but I think Whitaker was sleeping on that fight. Brunson's, come on, Darren Tillings, Brad Tavares. We can all agree that Israel Adesanya is the best man that this guy will ever have fought. Is D Plessis the best man Adesanya has fought? No chance. We're going to give it to Poatan. I got Adesanya getting his belt back. Manifest Destiny himself, I'm not going to bet against that. I really do think I actually personally bet Adesanya to win by points. I think he kind of toys with them and plays with them. I don't think he can get the finish. I think he'll be a lot of counterpunching, a lot of feints, and a lot of responding to what D Plessis does. I worry about late in the 5th round, something similar to Pereira fight for Adesanya, but I think he's just going to. Great fighters don't have 2 bad fights in a row, right? You know what I mean? Great fighters don't shit the bed twice in a row. There's no way at even money I'm picking against Israel Adesanya. As much as him losing those couple times brought enjoyment to my heart, there is no way I'm picking against him. I think he gets his belt back. I think he has a nice moment on the mic, and we're going to solidify him as one of the all-time champion of champions in the UFC history, man. I think he's it's something special. I think he's one of the most special fighters I've ever seen watch. As much as his style might not have always been the most exciting for me, just the absolute class, the absolute being in the moment, and sometimes you have to get knocked down to rise up even higher. And like he said, he says he manifested D Plessis beating Whitaker, giving in a situation a year later. Let's see it, Izzy. Let's see it, man. It's your time, dude. It's your time. 36, a little concerning, you know, for Adesanya's age against 30-year-old D Plessis. But I think something similar to the Strickland fight happens with Adesanya. I think he can do a lot of damage early and then just control the fight the rest of the way. Point him up, win the round. I think D Plessis is really going to have to get a takedown, right? And he's going to have to win on the ground and pound. Adesanya's got great takedown defense, man. I'm not picking against him. I don't ever want to pick against manifestation. There's one thing I do believe in. It is that in life. You can make things happen. May not be exactly. Never ask how it's going to happen, right? Always have your why. Like, he can never have been like, oh, I had to maybe lose to Strickland. You know, whatever it is, this is his situation now. And I think he's going to win, man. I think it's going to be a very class fight, and he's going to get a rematch against Strickland. And who knows what happens there. But in Perth, Australia, August 17th, I think Adesanya ends up. We got a 2-week break after this card, so I think he's going to put a nice bow sticker on the promotion for a couple weeks. Really get the juices flowing. It feels like the hype hasn't really been there for this fight, but I think when the time comes, that man's going to come out, and we are going to be locked in, and I think he will be as well. Adesanya to get the middleweight championship back and put himself up there as he already is, one of the greatest fighters of all time. One of the most special talents. Let's do a quick recap here. From the start, I got Jesus Aguilar, Song Kanan, Tom Nolan, Herbert Burns, Luana Santos, Josh Cooley-Bow, Walter Valger, Carlos Prates, Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Gamer Gamrot, Steve Urseg, and Israel Adesanya. We're doing the $100 challenge. Pick 100% of the card right. Leave it in the comments below, and I'll give you $100. Thank you guys so much for supporting and watching the videos. They really mean the world to bring them to me. Sorry, this one's a little bit late. Life's been changing a little bit, but, you know, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be watching the fights when they come on this Saturday. I'm going to miss them for a couple weeks. I don't know what I'm going to do for the videos, but thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace and love, everybody.